Many Nigerians are still in shock after Tinubu appointed Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu, the wife of late Biafran WarLordd Ojukwu, as Minister of State. And many people have been raising questions over this particular appointment. But I would like you guys to listen to Special Advisor to the President, Bayo Ononoga, and when I go see the reason why they appointed Bianca Ojukwu, who everybody knows in Biafra, as a Minister of State in Nigeria by Tinubu-led administration. Listen to the reasons why she was appointed.
So first of all, let's get straight to it. What's the reason behind this cabinet reshuffle and why now?
Let me take you back to August last year when the ministers were sworn in. The president actually told them that as a president, he has the power to hire and fire, and that he will not hesitate to remove ministers who could not perform. And then there was a retreat in October last year where he also repeated the same warning about his plan to always trying to rejig his cabinet in case some are not performing well. And I think at that retreat also told them that there'll be a kind of performance appraiser. And he put Adiza, the special advisor on policy, to coordinate that. It was not just something that was done whimsically. I think the president, Adiza even brought technology to it, asking Nigerians to score the ministers. So this was done. Whoever was removed out of the ministers, it was based on some empirical facts, the public perception of those ministers, and they are the people who actually did the scorecard. And the president acted on the results.
Right.
That in the public perception of those ministers, that's what happened.
Well, I'm glad you brought Hadiza Bala Usman up, because I was going to ask you whether her performance assessment report had anything to do with these sackings, because I mean, she is the special advisor to the president on policy coordination, but you've kind of answered that. But someone suggested that some of the ministers who were dismissed were simply professionally exhausted. Is that perhaps too strong or too weak a term?
I think that may be a very, very strong...
well, I mean, we sacked them, didn't we?
Well, we didn't even use the word sack. The president used the word discharge.
Yeah, but they were, let's face it, they were let go.
Yeah, they were let go, they were relieved of their duties.
Right. And
some other people were... But you see, the way the president dealt with it, after the council meeting today, he had a meeting, called them for a meeting, and I think he thanked them for the services they rendered in the last 1 year or so. And I think on that note, the party, he didn't just, unlike the military days when you are sacked on radio, he called them. He tried to socialize with them, fit and everything, and say, thank you for what they've done, and explain to them why they just had to go.
Okay, well, that's actually that's a very interesting point, and that's a fairly polite way to say goodbye, because I was going to ask you whether or not, because I mean, we saw them at that Federal Executive Council meeting today, whether or not he made the announcement at the Federal Executive Council meeting.
He didn't make it. He didn't make that. The only hint he gave was that at the end of the meeting, he named some 5 persons and asked them to see him after the meeting.
But that must have been a warning sign, wasn't it?
Well, no, unless you are very perceptive, you don't really know what was amiss. So I think he was polite in the way he dealt with it. I said he didn't do it the military way, at least he called them and told them, this is why I'm asking you to go.
So, I mean, it can be said then that those who were effectively sacked, even though you don't like that word, were not meeting the president's expectations.
Finding cheap flights for my last-minute trip to Ghana was a hassle, but the Wakana mobile app came through. It was
not just the president's expectation, is the expectation of the public.
Yeah, but obviously the president has the power to fire.
Some weeks ago, at the cabinet meeting, the president actually told the ministers to go out there, tell Nigerians what you are doing, what you have been doing for the past 1 year or so. Because according to the president, said the perception outside there by the people is that the people feel that the government is not performing. And the president said, look, the president believes that the government is performing, but the ministers are not going out to really project government the appropriate way. So he told them, go out there, tell people what you are doing. And I said, whatever happened to what happened today was based on some empiricism. It was not just something done by fancy or anything. There was some basic facts that the president used, some criteria that were used to ask some people to go.
Right. So are these new appointments and reassignments expected to alter policy significantly?
Don't forget we have a program, the Renewed Hope Agenda, which the president keeps stressing.
Well, that's a slogan.
It's not a slogan. There's a program. We have a manifesto, and the manifesto touches every aspect of our country, including some of those decisions that people have criticized the government for, the removal of subsidy, the harmonization of exchange rate. They are all contained in this program. And every facet of it, each ministry knows he has to do something to execute the ideas, the program already lined up in that our Renew Hope manifesto. So that is the duty. Any of the ministers know what you have to do. Just go and read the Renew Hope Agenda manifesto and execute the program there.
But are you actually, I'm keen to know what difference this cabinet reshuffle is going to make, because presumably it represents the president's desire to move the country forward. But the question is how, because you're saying that they're going to go back and read the manifesto. Are these people who are appropriate to the appointments in terms of their background experience?
Now, let me give an example. Bianca. Some people say, Bianca Ojukwu is widow of Ojukwu and so on. But Bianca has some diplomatic experience.
Yeah, she does, actually.
She's been ambassador in Spain. And so, by asking her to be Minister of State for Foreign Affairs shows you the president's intention. Even though people may say there is political or something, but...
Well, there is an element of politics there, isn't there?
The lady has some experience, so she will have some value in that Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Indeed.
So if you look at the man, the Dr. Alausa, who has been taken from Ministry of Health to Ministry of Education, he's a US-based doctor. I think he's a very versatile man, and he's done well in the Ministry of Health. The president wants to challenge him to go and do even much better in the Ministry of Education. So there are a lot of people like the man who has been appointed Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, the engineer from Plateau State. For a long time, Plateau, after Simon Lalong, went to the Senate to become a senator. Plateau did not have anybody in the cabinet. So the president corrected that today by bringing the governorship candidate of APC to take Plato's place. And he's a very qualified guy. He's an engineer. I think he read electronic engineering or something like that. And so he's been asked to go to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. And I believe that he's going to do very well there.
Well, you mentioned the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Do you actually need that ministry? With all the allegations of corruption swirling around it? Because, if Hadiza Bala Usman did her performance assessment and certainly got the assessment of the Nigerian public, if you read what they say about that ministry, they just see it as a, as a big sort of, large, criminal enterprise almost, where people even suspended the minister who was there for corruption or allegations.
But the vision of the president is even trying to expand the scope of that ministry. Just recently the president said he's going to set up a relief fund, disaster relief fund. It's all part of humanitarian affairs. We live in a country where many of our people are poor, and government feels the need to make sure that at least it tries to offer them some palliatives to support them. And it's not just a Nigerian problem, it's all over the world. People, even in America or Britain, in America, people collect dole. Britain, there's money from government and so on. So the weak members of society, they need assistance. And that's what the humanitarian ministry is supposed to do. It's all an APC idea from 2015 to have a ministry that can cater for the needs of, the vulnerable members of society. And there are many of them. Some scientists say there are about 120 million or so. Of recent, the Minister of Finance said they are trying to reach about 20 million the government considers very, very weak and very vulnerable, to at least to send them some assistance and so on and so forth.